Welcome back. In part 1, we did a quick flyby of the backlog refinement. In part 2, we went into the backlog refinement with a magnifying glass to understand each step in much more detail. In this episode, we want to look at the supporting cast. Before we go into that, let me ask you a simple question. Who are the main characters for the backlog refinement? That's right. The product owner and the team are the lead characters in backlog refinement. I would say the Scrum Master could be the first supporting cast. Scrum Master could be helping in facilitating the event and all the conversations that need to happen during that event. So, what are the other characters? What are the other supporting cast? That's the question for this episode. Alright, let's walk in the room where our team is doing the backlog refinement and look around and find out what supporting cast they have in the room to make their backlog refinement highly productive. Again, we want this supporting cast with one goal, and that goal is to make the backlog refinement much more productive for the team. Just to remind you, we are in a room where we are doing backlog refinement. So let's look around. What are the things that we should see, we should expect in this room? Who should be in the room and what are the different artifacts we should see in this room? So first of all, when I see in this room, I should see the product owner. Miss Fab is in the room ready to help the team. Right? Miss Fab is our fabulous product owner. She's in the room along with the team. Now this is a highly engaged team. This is a cross-functional team. This is a team that is interested in having conversations with the product owner to get all the details. So that's the first thing. Above all, I would be expecting a lot of conversations happening in this room. There are conversations happening between the team and the product owner. There are conversations happening among the team members also within the team. So again, a lot of conversations should be happening in this room. Remember the user stories and remember the 3 C's of the user stories. This is that conversation we are talking about. This is just one of the forum. Backlog refinement is just one of the forum where these conversations could be happening. These conversations bring out the best in everybody. These conversations are the ones that will bring out all the details that are needed for the team to work on these stories and build and deliver those functionalities. These are the conversations that bring out the value that we are looking for. Like everything else in Agile, we are looking at backlog refinement also as a time-boxed activity. So we should be having time box that is omnipresent. uh, so we are looking at backlog refinement as a time boxed activity, and even within the backlog refinement, I would time box the conversations on a particular story. Again, we don't want to go into that analysis paralysis mode, right? So as we take on a story, as we bring a story to the center of the table for this discussion between the product owner and the team, we would be looking to time box that also. So far, we have the product owner in the room, we have a highly engaged team in the room, we have the conversations happening, and we have time boxes. We are taking the time boxed approach. Now, one more aspect of this product owner that I want to highlight here. Remember, I mentioned Miss Fab is our product owner. She's a fabulous product owner. She is also a keen product owner. And what I mean by keen is that she is highly knowledgeable, she is empowered, she is engaged, and she is a good negotiator. So these are the characteristics of a good product owner. She is knowledgeable about the business area that she is representing. She should be able to answer any and all questions that the team has as far as the business aspect of it. She is obviously empowered to make the decisions. She is highly engaged with the team, highly engaged in this conversation, and she is a good negotiator. So remember, we have a fabulous product owner in Miss Fab. She is also keen product owner. Now, let's pause. Let's look around the room and see what are the different artifacts that we will see in this room for this backlog refinement to be highly successful. What are the artifacts we should see? What are the artifacts we should expect in this room that will help these conversations, that will help this refinement go much more smoother? So we have a keen product owner. She's a fabulous product owner and she cannot do her job without the deep product backlog. So I should see the deep product backlog in the room. Now along with that, the team also comes in the room with several artifacts. So first of all, the team should have the working agreements. They are there. First of all, they are existing. The team has worked on that in the past and they are highly visible in the room, easily accessible. So working agreements is the first document. Working agreement is the first artifact that I would expect to see in the room. Along with that, the team has several definitions that they may bring in the room. To start with, the definition of ready, definition of done. Right? These are the two definitions that will help in the conversation. This will also help in the team deciding when to stop those conversations, when to mark that story as ready. Right? So these are the three important artifacts that I would see in the room. All right, let's go back to Miss Fab and see what artifacts she's bringing. So again, she's bringing a deep product backlog. She is bringing in those raw user stories. So one, she has identified the priorities and based on that, she is bringing those raw stories in the room. And on the other hand, when we look at the team is looking to have those ready user stories. So in the room, you should see some ready user stories. All right, let's put the raw story under the magnifying glass. So I would expect in the raw story, I would expect that at a minimum there is this who, what, why mentioned. And we are also looking to see the acceptance criterias mentioned. At a minimum, the product owner is ready to explain this acceptance criteria. She may not have captured that in the raw story, and that's the whole idea, that the raw story could be a single line statement, but through these conversations, we are looking to get those details as to who, what, why, the acceptance criteria, and then we should also see these scenarios. So again, at a minimum, I would expect that Ms. Fab, our product owner, is ready with those scenarios. She is able to explain those scenarios to the team to provide this additional context that the team may need to get a better understanding of that feature functionality. I would also expect the dependency wheel somewhere in this room. So this is where we will be capturing the dependencies as we come across those dependencies in the conversation. Along with the story, along with the who, what, why, the acceptance criteria, the scenarios, I would be looking to capture these dependencies. Now, we are not looking for just one ready story. In fact, we are looking to build up a pipeline of ready stories that will keep the team busy for the next couple of sprints. Right? So we are looking to build up that pipeline of ready stories. Stories that the team has complete understanding of, the team feels that they are ready for the future sprints, they can work on it and they can get it to done in a particular sprint. Along with this, I would also expect to see some sample stories that the team may have estimated. These are what I call baseline stories. These are some sample stories that the team is keeping visible so that the stories that are on the table, stories that are in the center of the table, stories that are part of the conversation that the team and the product owner is having about, they can compare this story with those baseline stories to get that relative effort estimates. So I would expect to see some sample baseline stories with clearly marked estimations. Now, with this, obviously, we are looking to have the team look at the invest criteria. So I would expect these invest criteria displayed in the room along with the spider helping the team in slicing. So invest and spider will help the team in slicing the user stories. And last but not the least is I would expect some spike stories in the room. On a corner of a wall, I should expect some stories that the team has identified as spike stories. These are the research stories that they have recognized and written that will go into the product backlog. All right, so let's do a 360-degree view of the room and summarize what are the artifacts, what are the documents that we should see in this room. To start with, I would expect the product backlog, the deep product backlog, raw user stories. These are the next priority stories that the product owner has identified. These raw stories should have who, what, why, the acceptance criteria, the scenarios. I would expect the dependency wheel in the room. On the team side, we are looking for the working agreements, the definition of ready, definition of done, sample baseline stories that are estimated against which the team can compare these future stories. We would hope to have a pipeline of these ready stories. The other documents I should see is the invest criteria, the spider, and some of those spike stories. And yes, above all, as I said, these are not physical documents, these are not tangible documents, but I would expect to see a lot of conversation in the room along with time-boxed approach. So I feel these are the artifacts that you need. This is the supporting cast that you need in the room in order for the backlog refinement to be highly successful. They are, as I said, supporting cast. They are helping the product owner, they are helping the team in getting the conversations going and getting to that understanding that the team needs. Like any successful movie, you need a great supporting cast with the lead characters. For your backlog refinement to be productive, the team needs to invest time and effort in creating these artifacts and occasionally reviewing them to ensure that they are still valid and relevant for the time. How close is your team to this blueprint? How is your team doing the backlog refinement? What artifacts they are using from the list that we just discussed? Join in part 4 of this series as we look at the best behaviors. What are the patterns? What are the behaviors we want the team to form that will help them in this backlog refinement? That the behaviors and patterns that will help the team make this backlog refinement much more effective and productive. So see you soon in part 4.